that was in the house because I know how busy you are.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I just finished up with some patients and I actually have to take off for New York, but I figured let me drop in for about 10 minutes and talk with you guys.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. All right, Juice, let's roll it back. It's 8:59. Let's get this popping. Let me all right. Right at 9, I'm going in. Hey. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to Always On with Tonya and Jay, featuring Tonya Jay Ice. So, Jay, what's going on? You ain't saying nothing. You dancing.
You know what? I got lost in the moment. I got lost in the moment. I was just saying, I'm so happy that Jeff is in the house, Dr. Jeff is in the house, because it's going to be a full, fun show. Other than that, it's just cold. It's icy rain. Stay off the roads, be safe. And happy Friday. Happy Friday and happy
Friday, J.U.I. Happy Friday, Dr. Jeff. All right, let's get into it. We're talking about mental health again. It's really, I think we need to really dive into the topic and everything. We have Dr. Jeffrey Gardere with us. Live Friday. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.
So you know,
go ahead, Jay.
Well, I was going to say, it's that big story, that young woman who, I mean, I can't believe she committed suicide. Seems like she had everything going for her. Somebody just sent me an article earlier today that mentioned it was, hold on. It's a Yahoo article that talks about how it affects a lot of strong Black women. Yahoo's put something out on that today.
Yeah.
And so, her mother spoke, and it's just kind of a crushing story.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? And I think it really does speak to, and I think her mom mentioned that there may have, allegedly there were some issues, perhaps with depression, maybe masking the depression. I think it's something that we know of almost anyone who would take their life and do it in, such a fatal way. So certainly I think the lesson here is that, no matter how upbeat a person may seem, no matter how much they may feel that they're on top of the world or that they're successful, if they're not fulfilling themselves in a way where they are finding that rest and relaxation, getting that work-life balance, working on themselves, emotionally, anyone who's in that kind of a situation, you can't go all in one direction and not, be all about the profession, all about Hollywood, all about these things, and not also understand that you have basic needs that need to be met, such as communication and such as, being able to look at, where, you are feeling pain and expressing that pain, and being able to communicate that pain. And quite often people are not able to do that. And those are the ones who, unfortunately, we don't catch until, it's no longer viable because they have now, done something that you can't come back from.
Yeah.
Does this fall into a stereotype that us as Black men and women don't discuss it, don't discuss depression? I mean, they said she wrote an article about it in one of the high glossy fashion magazines.
Oh, wow.
But I was just...
Yeah, I didn't see the article, but if she wrote it, for all we know, that might have been her attempt to really talk about what it is that people like her are experiencing. She seemed to be a very unselfish, very hardworking, really incredible individual. Everyone is looking at how beautiful she was and all of that. But, I don't think she really cared about that. I think, there was a lot going on for her inside, and she wanted to be recognized for that inner beauty, not that outer beauty. We get so caught up in, those outside things. So it's important that we understand that we really have to get to know someone deep, deep down, not just what we see on the outside. But, there's an old song that I used to like by McCartney and the Wings called "Someone's Knocking at the Door and Someone's Ringing a Bell. Do me a favor, let them in. It must be Dr. Tracy Alexander."
Yeah. Yeah.
I am upside down.
No, girl, you're sideways. Stop it.
Listen, hold on, guys. You know what? I'm coming off another one and trying to set up again.
There she is.
There you go.
She looks like she's flying a rocket ship.
You know what? Hold on. This topic is too important, way too important.
All right, well, welcome, Dr. Tracy Alexander.
How are you? Happy
Friday. So, yeah, we're going to dive in. Dr. Jeff.
She's wearing her red, too. She's wearing her red.
Listen, we got to wear red today. First and foremost, let's just give a quick moment of silence for my national president of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Yes.
All right.
So we have to wear red in honor of my soror, Cheryl Hickman. So red is the color today, always. So thank you for that. Thank you. Glad to be here, everybody. Glad to be here.
Yes. So we were just talking about Chelsea and how, people are, some people just don't know how to communicate, their feelings and everything. That's what Dr. Jeff was just talking about. So you want to dive into that? Because I saw a post on your Facebook. Checking in on
right. You saw my post.
Yes.
And that was you saw my post.
Uh-huh.
Let me start with, I'm just really honored to be here today to have this conversation. And first of all, thank you for inviting me to the table, because as you know, Dr. Jeff, Brother Jeff, he makes sure that he keeps people healthy. Okay. Mm-hmm. He is the doctor. He is the doctor. He is the MD. And he makes sure that he keeps people healthy. Now, I say that because my job is to take that healthy person and help them become great, to help them reach their greatness, right? My thing is, how much good can we do? And what I realize is my job, my passion really is to tap into humanity. Okay. Tap into the humanity of this. Why do I bring that up? Because after, I think it was with this young lady, losing this 30-year-old young lady. And it was when Nate on CBS said, nobody knew. The smile was so brilliant and so bright.
I mean, we could go on and on. Robin Williams did. I say that all the time because he was somebody super great that made everybody laugh. And me and Dr. Jeff had discussed this last week a little bit about the mask. Dr. Jeff, are there red flags or that we should look at when you're with?
Well, I think when you're dealing with any individual who is on all the time, and I'm not talking about Chesley, by the way, because there's so much about this incredible young lady that we really don't know, and we'll be finding out, but I hope it's not in a way that is intrusive or invasive to her family. Right. May this young lady rest in peace and her family go through this trauma for the years to come. But, one of the things that I see with some of the people I work with, either they are very, very depressed, and that they may be at risk for suicide, or they actually talk about suicide, or they may be upbeat and on all the time, right. Nonstop. And so when you talk about someone like Robin Williams, here was a guy who was a human dynamo.
Right.
But it was also not just his comedic brilliance, Dr. Tracy, this, right? it was also about an effort to keep himself going,
Indeed.
recharging that battery, keep trying to self-medicate the profound pain and the mental illness that he was dealing with regard to, I believe, bipolar, disorder, and dealing with that. And what we know, and then I'm going to keep quiet because, Tracy, will really expound on this. But what we know is these individuals who have killed themselves, one of the things we do know for them, these have been some of the most unselfish, beautiful people as inside heart,
right,
who just feel that no one really knows who they are.
Doc, I just want to jump in for a moment. You said the key word. The key word is trauma. Trauma. Let's stop there and let's just unpack what trauma is. We understand trauma when we hear someone has a concussion, someone has been hurt, right? We can understand trauma because we can see it, we can feel it. So if you have suffered a traumatic injury, you have been hurt. Perhaps you are bleeding. Perhaps there is a way you feel the pain. Keyword is you feel it. The difference here in my profession and what I am starting to unpack and to really understand when we look at all of the things that we are carrying around is we have trauma in our heart. Our heart is hurting. And I'm wearing red also for it's, go red. It's all about being heart healthy today, right? But again, we're looking at it from a medical standpoint. Let's just focus for a minute and talk about that heart that is hurting because of the trauma that you're dealing with, right? That's the trauma you can't see. That's the trauma that Doc is talking about right now. When you wear the mask, when you have that smile and you're trying to cover up, mask the pain that we don't know exists. And that's the trauma I want to talk about today. Doc, you with me?
I'm with you. I
got a question though, but do they know what trauma? I mean, some people don't even know. They had a good life. You understand what I'm saying? They don't even know why they're feeling the way they're feeling. And before we dive in, I'm going to introduce another person, Chris Means. Hello, welcome, CEO of By All Means Alliance.
Hey, good evening. How's everyone doing?
All right. So Tracy and Dr. Gardier, I mean, they don't know. Some people just don't know why they're sad. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't, and that is trauma in itself. They just don't know. They don't know.
And
go ahead.
Do you think this was something of sadness, or like you said earlier, was she just, in the case of the young lady, was she just always on, trying to be the perfect woman, having the education, the beauty pageantry, the having to be perfect fashion-wise, the competition of just that arena? Could that also, maybe no one saw it in her sense, unfortunately, but do you think those pressures mount up well? Because she could have just been sad. I know it's hard to diagnose because we don't know, because information's still unraveling, but it's hard to think that she was sad. It seemed like, from where I'm coming from, the trauma seemed like it might have been pressure, just her life having to be always on.
And, I just want to stop for a minute. And you said something, always on.
Yeah.
We are sitting here, each and every one of us, we are always on, right? I'm thinking about today. Let me just give you a quick example about me today. Today, I'm experiencing the loss of my national president with thousands and thousands of my sorors. I'm sitting in my office, hear me. I'm sitting in my office and I'm watching this unfold, and my pain with my sorors, my sisters, my friends, Okay, I'm feeling this grief, this heavy grief in my office with my door closed. Understand. The song comes on. Never would have made it without you. I was done. I was done. Never would have made it without you. I'm not going to sing it, but please understand that song right there, it hit my heart. I was not prepared to move forward for my 1:15 meeting. Do you hear me? I had to put on a mask. And you know what I said? I'm not putting on the mask. I need to stay in this moment and feel what I'm feeling and let the feeling happen. I was grieving and I was not going to put the mask on to run to a 1:15 meeting. I decided to allow myself to feel the pain.
Well, that's you. That's you. That's you.
And that's not easy. And to your point,
I was going to say
it's not easy.
A lot of people can't do that. They don't know how to do that. Yeah.
Can't do that. And I just said, I'm in my office, door closed. So what does that mean? When that door opens up.
Exactly.
Right. That's what I'm saying to you. That's what I'm saying. At some point, I had to pull it together. That's just an example of what I experienced myself today. I understand that moment. That moment. Doc, let's go here because we all work with very, very high functioning, high profile people. Okay. And let me just say this. There is a moment of when you are working. And then there's that moment when you stop working and there is a dearth. There's an emptiness. And if you are not paying attention, depression kicks in and it kicks in 100%. Do you hear me? We need to understand that. So there's a moment. Now, I don't know what happened with this young lady. We don't know. But I can tell you from my own firsthand experience, there is a moment where you feel that depression and you feel the word hopelessness. Let's unpack that word. It's about being in a moment of feeling like there's no hope. And each and every one of us, we've been able to catch ourselves,
right?
Pull ourselves out of it.
Right.
Robin Williams and the others.
I mean, Regina King's son. Yes. There's just been too many in the last 2 weeks. You understand?
And I think that's why, I do have to get going. And I know Chris needs to get into this thing because I know we really want to hear him. Chris, how are you, by the way? And by the way, Chris, don't take this the wrong way, but you need to work on your voice. It doesn't sound sophisticated enough. But that I'm being very facetious. You have a very beautiful voice. As soon as he said hello, I was like, whoa. But I will say this, and I do have to take my leave because I have to get on the road on these icy, crazy roads.
Yes, be safe.
Be careful, Doc. Be careful.
Yes,
please.
I will. But I think it's really important for all of us to understand that we do have to catch people before they go into that place. So it really has to be about checking up on one another, asking the questions and really meaning the questions, such as, how are you doing? And really asking and meaning, how are you doing? And I'd like to get an answer from you. It's important to be an ear. It's important, even though we have to social distance, it doesn't mean that we have to completely isolate psychologically from one another. So a lot of this, by the way, I think is related, of course, to the pandemic. It is changing the world in ways that we're not even aware of.
Oh, yeah.
And so that being said, let's be there for one another. One thing I do want to announce for those of you who may have known of the great musician Mickey Bass from Harlem. Mickey passed last night. So, Mickey Bass, rest in peace. He was a jazz messenger, great, bassist, soloist, played with all the greats, was an educator. So, all our prayers go out to, Leo Bass, known as Mickey Bass.
Deepest condolences to everyone.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doc, for saying that. Thank you.
Sharing that.
Dr. Jeff, thank you for stopping by.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
Be safe
Good
on the
night.
road. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Have a great discussion.
Thank
Tracy,
you. Bye-bye.
great to see you. Bye-bye.
Good to see you, Doc. We'll be in touch.
Take care.
So Tracy, let me just follow up super fast. Do you think that, like you were saying, you had your door closed, your store passed, do you think all that pressure is an unfairness stereotype to the strong Black woman? Like you said you had to come out with the mask, you gotta be strong, your SORA pass, you got a 999 to 5, you got power meetings, you got galas coming up, you gotta put your act together, you gotta look good, you gotta be super sister. Is that unfair
sister
for us?
Oh my goodness, you said it right there. Super sister. Super sister. Come on, Tonya, you know this.
Yes.
We got the cape on. I even talk about it. Take the cape off. Okay. We got to first understand we have to take off that mental cape. That's the first thing. But I want to pull it back because you said something right there. You are correct. We do it all and we do it well. And not only that, we have to be better than any and everybody else in this race. So you have to understand when I posted and I said, I'm checking on my strong friends.
That's right.
I'm checking on my strong friends because you know what? I don't know if we ever ask how our strong friends are really doing.
Look, we're in the rat race. We're in the rat race.
In the rat
Men
race.
and women. We're in the, mostly a lot, people are in the rat race.
People.
We're working, we're providing, we're caring, and we're just trying to keep everything together. Chris, I need you to get in on this topic now. You can unmic yourself. Unmute yourself.
So I'm enjoying the conversation, and there's a lot to unpack here. I am now an educator, and I am currently managing the trauma that our youth are dealing with coming out of the pandemic. And as Dr. Alexander mentioned, every day we walk out of the door, we're managing some form of PTSD, right? Walking out the door Black. And when you walk out the door Black, you're thinking about a multitude of things, what are you going to deal with, what microaggressions you're going to encounter, how to manage being a Black woman in America, how to manage being a Black man in America, how to be manage being marginalized, gendered. And so that weighs on you. And it starts in early childhood. As an educator, I'm probably the only Black male teacher in my school system. And when I have students exhibit a certain kind of feeling towards me as the Black male, I'm already experiencing the trauma that they're experiencing by not having a Black male figure in their household. And the things that have been said to me by these children, do I need to reach out to your parent to work on getting your grades up and you paying attention and you sitting still? And I had a young Black boy who was just like, I don't care because I haven't seen my father in 3 months. Now, that wasn't our conversation, but he made it a point to let me know that for some reason he identified the fact that I wanted to reach out to a caregiver, but his male caregiver wasn't there, and it didn't matter to him. Or that I've had young Black girls who are like, oh my gosh, you know what? You're my new father. And so we're talking about a systematic, trauma that's taking place and is starting with the youth. And so as they grow up and have to deal with all kinds of, circumstances of life, they're missing certain aspects in their young lives that are being compounded on just being Black. And so that mental energy that one has to expend starts early, and it's exhibited in a multitude of ways. But the mental health is real, and I came in on the tail end of the conversation about and I'm sure you were speaking about Miss USA who passed away, and such a beautiful woman, such a lovely career that she had, and an advocate that what drove her to take her own life, we don't know, but we can surmise as Black folk that it could have been a multitude of reasons, and we get it. We do need a support network. We need to reach out to each other. We need to talk to each other, and we have to be okay with actually being able to open up to each other.
Well, yeah, that's the biggest thing, opening up to somebody about how are you feeling, and that is the biggest thing. A lot of people, like I said, the facade that you put on when you walk out that door for whatever, happened, and that you maybe something that you're still carrying as, from childhood or something like that. But the facade that you put on your face when you walk out that door, nobody sees your pain, not unless you express it to somebody,
Well, that was the thing I thought about this young woman. I thought she was expressing it. I thought she wrote about it. It seems like there was already in her articles that it was already written about her having this pain. That's what kind of baffles me about this.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like she's written about it. She was an advocate of health, mental, physical, so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what kind of throws me for. That's why it's so concerning. I mean, listen, we don't want anybody to commit suicide or the signs of depression, or we miss being kind to someone, or whatever, or listening, like you said earlier. But this one seems to be tricky, because she left her 9th floor apartment and went up to the roof of the building and then leaped off. So I'm like, what trauma was going through her mind? It's really a rhetorical question because we can't answer it. But that takes a lot of effort.
Right.
On a Sunday.
It does. But I want to revisit something that our educator said. You're talking about the trauma that our young people are experiencing, and you are spot on. As I work with young people at the Boys and Girls Club of Mount Vernon, I've always worked with particularly our young Black, and I am sure everyone has seen the news. They've seen the governor. We've seen the president come, and we've seen our mayor. What's the topic of conversation? Gun violence. Gun violence. And now we see large sums of money being put into the communities to address gun violence. And I say this for a reason, because it goes back to you, Chris. It goes back to what you're talking about when you're talking about being an educator and working with our young people and working with the trauma that we don't even know exists. Here's the problem. You can develop all the programs that you can imagine. You can have all of the sports programs, all of the academic programs. But let me say this to you. If we do not begin to address and have conversations with our young people to understand why they feel the way they feel, it's a matter of the heart. It's a matter of the mind. It's a matter of everything that they're carrying on their shoulder. It's a matter of walking out of the house and perhaps there was not hot water. Perhaps there wasn't any food for breakfast. Maybe, just maybe, my sneakers aren't good enough. So therefore, I know I'm going to be bullied or ridiculed. See, there's a lot going on, and it goes back to equality and equity, right? So there's a lot to this that we have to really begin to have these uncomfortable conversations. I talk about it all the time. It's very difficult to ask the question, does Johnny have food? What's happening in the home life? Last week in Westchester County, we experienced another loss. A 16-year-old young man, New Rochelle High School, dies from a bullet, a couple of bullets, if I may. I believe the young man was 16 and 17-year-olds. Okay. This was last week. I just bring this to your attention because it's happening too often, and we keep talking about gun violence. Is an increase in gun violence. We need to address the issue of why our children are feeling so hopeless, so helpless. Yeah, if we start there and ask those questions and get in the room and have those conversations, perhaps we can start getting some answers.
Right. We can get the answers all we want, but how are we going to make them feel alive?
That's right.
Not hopeless. You understand? Right. You can send all the money you want and programs, like you said earlier, programs you want and everything. But how are you going to make these, I'm going to say children and adults?
That's right. That's right.
They are wanted in this world. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the question.
I think it's it's a matter of, we have this whole, let's keep it real. Let's keep it real and let's be real. Real is not what you see on social media and the capitalistic, endeavors that just keep that you keep facing with, that you got to floss, you got to be this way, you got to wear this, you got to wear that. Yeah, I got a bunch of students who dress really well, but they also have poor diets, and they don't eat, and no one's actually. I can't tell you how many times I've asked my students how you're doing, and the cross-eyed looks that they give me, like, what? You just asked me how I'm doing, and right. How are you? And and to have them answer that, they don't even know how to begin to answer, because no one's ever asked them. No one's asked them how they're doing, how they're feeling. Or what do you want to be when you grow up? What do I want to be when I grow up? What? So if you can't have simple conversations on being real and keeping it real, then you just continue just to layer up on layer, and it just exacerbates to where, it may cause you to do harm to yourself. It may cause you to be aggressive in expressing yourself. And this is where the whole gun violence, what is it that you've gone through in your life? And let's just talk about, Black males, being able to have a conversation. The machismo that we exhibit to our youth, especially to our young Black boys, we don't allow them to really be able to express themselves, because when they express themselves, then we tell them, you're soft. Man up.
Crying is for girls.
Stop crying. Yeah. Crying's for girls. No, you know what? That is simply not true. We used to, when the church was the foundation of our existence, we would go to church, we would have conversations, we would speak to, our deacons and deaconesses and youth groups and youth leaders. We're not having those conversations. So now that that pent up energy and an inability to be able to express yourself is now being manufactured in violence and striking out because of the anger. And I'll go back, it's trauma. It's just trauma that we don't know how to, and we're not passing along to the simple question: how are you feeling? What is going on with you? I saw a meme this week where a teacher, there was a little girl and she was like, really like pent up, and he's like, okay, just relax, tell me what you're saying, it's going to be okay. Do you need a hug? She said yes. He gave her a hug. Is everything okay? She's like, okay. And then like, let's go about your business,
Right.
We gotta give each other a hug.
We can't hug nobody no more. We can't hug nobody no more. COVID.
Right.
Well, that's the impact of. That's why some of this has an offspring of the pandemic.
Right.
Like that,
right.
What we were saying earlier. But then there's that social media aspect, which we always circle back and say, it's the and adults deal with it too. I mean, there are just as many adults as kids and this and that on social media as well. And as a result of this, it's something to do when you're home, if you can't watch television or you're not reading a book or whatever the case may be. So, but with all that said, it seemed like this woman still was,
Right.
I mean, Kate Spade was the same way. Let's talk about Kate Spade.
That's right.
Beautiful person, billionaire.
And the people we don't hear about, like you were mentioning earlier, the young person out of New Rochelle High School. I remember when I went to college, all my friends were coming from New Rochelle High School. So it really baffles the mind. And then this is a question to you, Tracy. How do you start that conversation? Or Chris, I mean, I know you said, hi, how are you? But how do you start the conversation of, have you eaten breakfast this morning? Or have you, brushed your teeth? Or is house life okay? I mean, it's one thing to say it and one thing to say it and get something out of it and able to help. How do you even start those conversations?
That's a really great question. And I just want to say this. Sometimes you don't say anything. Sometimes you just do. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. If you pay attention to children, if you pay attention to the behavior and the way they move, you know how we say, oh, I see how you move. Oh, that's how you move. You're moving like that? Yeah, watch how people move. It tells you something. So what I mean by that is, watch young people when they come to the after school program. Watch and learn. Are they hungry? Do they have a sibling and maybe they're taking an extra apple, an extra sandwich? They're taking it, not asking for it. They're taking it. And you may think they're taking it just to be taking it. No, they're probably taking it because maybe there's a sibling at home that may not have anything to eat. See, what I'm saying is watch children, pay attention to how they behave. So what I'm saying is maybe you don't even ask the question. You find the funds to pay for your after school program. That's exactly what happened at the Boys and Girls Club of Mount Vernon. That's exactly what the staff did. They put together a meal program, and every day there's a hot meal when those children come in the door. So guess what? We've already seen what was going on. We understood something's going on. So-and-so is hungry. These kids are hungry. This may be the only meal that they get before they go home. You follow me? So before you continue to ask the question, you see the movement. Perhaps we do our job and find the funding to really begin to address the issue. But I do appreciate it when we say, how are you feeling today? And not only to our children, but to our strong sisters and our strong brothers. How are you feeling? And I just want to circle back, Tonya. Do you know what I posted? I posted, I just want to check on my strong friends. Do you know the calls that I received?
Yes, that's beautiful.
Check it on me.
Yeah, it was a beautiful post, Tracy.
Check it on me. And very few, I very, I don't hear that. How am I doing? I'm the one always asking, like you, Tonya, we're always the one checking on everybody else, making sure everybody's good, right?
Strong sisters. And we're going to ask that question again. Ask the question, Tracy. Ask everybody.
Ask everybody.
No, you
just
ask
checking on my just checking on my strong sisters.
There you go.
And I put that word there, and I have to tell you. Then I heard it again. Then I heard it on CBS. I heard it with Nate, who knew this young lady, Chesley. He knew her, and then I heard him say, and I'm like, wait a second, there's something here. Check on your strong friends. Check on your strong friends. Ask them how they're doing.
Because they might not be doing. They might not be doing. They might not be doing. Right. And now everybody's not going to sit here and tell you their tea and tell you their business. I get that, because it's a game. We got to look the part. We got to do this. We got to do that. But at least ask the question. Because I'll tell you something. When I posted, check on your strong friends, the response that I received, it wasn't for me. It was for the universe. It just was on my heart. It was for the universe. But the universe came back to me and was checking on me, including you. Tonya, thank you so much. Thank you. I thank you. So one of our watchers, thank you very much, Dorinda. Y'all know Dorinda Bagwell. She just asked, what do you think about Mayor Adams and his gun meeting with the president? Was that today or yesterday? That was yesterday, right?
That was yesterday, yeah.
And his vegan school lunches. What do you think about that?
Listen, I don't know if our educator wants to take that.
We're talking about the guns, gun control. So
listen, Tonya, we are all in media. We are all in media, so we understand how it goes. And so, I'm going to say this: I appreciate when the cameras are there. I appreciate.
Did she? I think she froze. Okay. She froze.
Okay, so
Chris?
Meeting with the mayor.
I guess, I'm just gonna, bless his heart.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start there. I'm rooting for him. I voted for him in the end. He wasn't my first choice. I thought Maya Wiley would have done very well as a mayor, but I'm going to support him as long as he continues to try to do better and be better. He really stepped in it when he first came out in the nepotism of hiring your brother and hiring a friend who was investigated by the FBI. Do you know what it takes to be investigated by the FBI? So these are the people you want to surround yourself with. That's cool. Okay. Healthy meal options are something that I'm a big advocate for, especially in the schools. Part of my nonprofit in youth leadership development, the BIPOC, I have an anti-food apartheid mission where I'm, feeding neighborhoods that are inundated with food swamps and food deserts. I'm trying to give them healthy meals, and I'm trying to do it through the youth, and educate, the youth on healthy eating options. So I admire that. And, Mayor Adams is a vegan. The gun violence situation, it was a situation before he arrived.
Yeah. And still is.
Still is. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Ain't going nowhere.
So if if this is what you're going to champion, this is far greater and a much better, platform to go off of than hiring your brother, to a high paid position. Let's go after it. Let's pull the president in. It is a situation. We want them off the streets. we can actually ban books easier than we can ban the guns that are coming in to our neighborhoods, right? We're not manufacturing them.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't have warehouses or I don't know one Black manufacturer of guns. Okay. So someone is implementing them into our, just like the crack pandemic, you know, someone's bringing them into so that we can continue to destroy ourselves. So if there's anybody who's going to be an advocate for getting rid of them, please let's do it. I'm going to support the mayor. You know, does he need a little media training? Yes. Does he need you know, a little guidance on, you know, on a couple things? Yes, please. And, you know, and I hope that he, you know, surrounds himself with the right people that help him continue to, you know, to do things well.
Tracy,
well said.
Yeah.
I'm back. I must have been saying something because I know one thing, the signal started acting up. So let me just say this. And if it acts up, I'm going to keep on saying the same thing. Bring the cameras. Bring all of the cameras. Bring them so we can shine a light on what's happening in our communities. But what I say is, when the lights go dim and the cameras go back into the studio and the reporters go on to the next conversation or the next news or the next late breaking story, all I ask is leave money in my communities so I can deal with the mental health issue.
Thank you.
Give me the funding so I can deal with the trauma. I appreciate everyone talking about more programming. I get it. I appreciate it. But while that programming is happening that you're trying to figure out, let me hire 2 therapists. Let me have a therapist on site. So when my kids come into the club at 2:30, they know Dr. So-and-so. Mr. So-and-so is going to be here. Miss So-and-so is going to be here just so I can talk. Give me the funding. Let me use the funding to make sure that I have a safe place for my children to have a conversation and get the help that they need.
Not just children, adults.
Let me tell you, you're absolutely right. Because when I was talking about this, one of my colleagues said, Dr. Tracy, we are all going through so much. And she's absolutely right. She was asking to make sure that we had therapy for the staff, for the faculty. We are all carrying so much.
I mean, look what exacerbated this. COVID did. We're staying in the house. We can't touch nobody. We got to stay 6 feet apart from somebody. You really can't go see anybody because they might carry to them and they die. So it's just so much. And a lot of people lost a lot of people. So, and then we had Black Lives Matter. We had health disparities all across the board.
Absolutely.
So all this, and on top of that, we had police brutality, you know. So we got all this coming at us at one time. Why wouldn't you feel some type of way? Why wouldn't you?
Absolutely. And then coupled with when I go into the supermarket, I can probably rest assured that the prices have gone up.
Oh, yeah.
So now we're talking about I want to eat healthy. I want to make sure that I prepare a healthy meal for my family, right? We've got families trying to figure out how to buy milk and bread, basic staples, how to buy fruit because the prices are astronomical. Listen, the word is called exhaustion. We are exhausted. And then, we're exhausted. You know, it's fatigue. It's that mental fatigue. And we don't address it. You know, I just want to share this with you. I was listening to this report and it really makes me think, you know, professors usually go on sabbatical in the summer, right? Professors take 2 or 3 months off. and they get an opportunity to write and to research. But that time allows them to recharge and refresh. It gives them an opportunity to take a break, to stop to stop for a second and do a different type of research. What I'm saying is this: perhaps there's a study that's looking at people, thought leaders, people who think for a living, right? That maybe they sit in a cubicle, they sit all day, they write all day, they think all day. That is what they get paid for. The average person gets a week off, 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. Okay. That's as we're learning that people, humanity, we're exhausted. We're exhausted. People who do physical labor, they can measure that they're tired. You kind of understand it, right? Because it's physical labor.
Right.
But what I'm saying is all of us, no matter what our industry, no matter what our discipline, we are tired. And there has to be a time when we take a mental break, and we're not doing that.
And that's
definitely not.
I want to piggyback just really quickly. Yeah, I think we need to cultivate the wellness tools that we can then implement in our daily lives, in our community. We need those wellness tools to cope. And so what are they?
Yeah, exactly.
And how do we have that conversation and make that a part of a regular conversation so that we can, try to get through this trauma and get through this pandemic and the distancing and, the lack of human contact,
I mean, we need that. People need hugs and stuff. Come on now. Everybody needs hugs.
Well, what are wellness tools? I mean, where do we go? What are they? Is it meditation? Is it exercise? Is it veganism?
It's meditation, it's exercise, it's prayer.
Amen to that. Amen to that, Brother Chris. It's prayer. Come on.
There's a tool that I use in my classrooms because I can feel the energy of the students. So for the first, and it depends on what their activity is, I will turn off the lights and I will sit in the front of the classroom and I'm like, listen, we are going to center ourselves. We're going to quiet. And I will take us down until I do not hear any tapping, rapping. I'm like, it's hands free. Let's just stop making noise. Let's just center ourselves to quiet.
I like it.
I like it.
And when you center yourself to quiet,
center yourself to quiet,
then we can now go on and go about our day. So let's just clear ourselves of noise, clear ourselves of pencils, clear ourselves of all these fidget toys. They call them fidget toys. Let's clear ourselves of all of that, and let's just be centered. And that's what prayer was. Prayer was, whether it's to the universe, whether it's to God, whether it's to Buddha, whether it's, to, Muhammad, there was somebody that we just spoke to in a quiet, and we then were able to go about our day. That's a wellness tool. A wellness tool. Quiet center.
I'd like to add one more to that. Okay. And I notice it because I am starting to let my daughter know, who's in college, that I have anxiety. And I'm starting to say it. You know what? I'm having an anxious moment because I know what it is. My mother, she knew what it was. And I am getting comfortable saying, you know what? I'm feeling anxious. Number one. And I realized that she was feeling anxious last week as well. 20 years old, in college, a lot going on, work, school, all these activities. And I said to her, I actually text her, I said, breathe. You've got to learn how to breathe, because when I feel that anxiousness, the anxiety coming, in that space and I'm moving in that space and I'm feeling agitated because it happens often, particularly when you are overwhelmed and you have all of these demands, right? Mm-hmm. I am trying to teach a very simple technique. You've got to feel yourself breathe.
Right.
You have to get control in that moment and just inhale and exhale. And I actually can feel my body taking in the breath. Mm-hmm. And it helps calm me down slowly. And so I just offer that tool. That's a tool that it's not easy to do. It sounds so simplistic, but it's not easy, particularly when you're going from 0 to 100.
Exactly. All right. Well, I want to start wrapping this up. We've got to get out of here on time and everything. But Dr. Tracy, tell us, about yourself a little bit and how people can reach out to you.
Listen, you can find me definitely, www.drteatv.com, DRTEATV.com. And you know what? You can put my email up there. My email is attached to the phone. That's the quickest way to get in touch with me. I am here for it all. Let's have the conversation. I talk about having these uncomfortable conversations because somebody's got to facilitate them and somebody's got to ask the question and somebody's got to be willing to listen. We've got to be ready to listen because you may not like the answer. You just may not like the answer, but we're going to certainly have the conversation. So Dr. TTV at gmail.com. That's
all
my
right.
email.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chris, any last words? And give first of all, let's, we got to talk about your business and everything. So we got to talk about you just for a second here.
So I'm a mid-career professional that's changed from, from the hospitality industry. I ran, Michelin-rated restaurants in New York City. I was one of the maybe 3 in the world that ran a top 15 restaurant in the world with a Michelin chef. And when the pandemic hit and hospitality went to kind of hell in a handbasket, I started thinking about what am I going to do next? And what is it that I actually really enjoyed about hospitality? And what I really enjoyed about hospitality was the BIPOC community that one, never saw anyone like myself running these, level of organizations. Mm-hmm. But 2, what could I do to continue to mentor and coach and, and what I was receiving from the kids and what they lacked in education. So I was like, what can I do? So I started a nonprofit, youth leadership development for the BIPOC community. We do social justice projects. I'm teaching leadership skills and life skills through social justice projects. And, the skills that they don't get in the classroom. And so I've pivoted to education, working on a master's degree at NYU. Wow. That's my mission right now, just to make an imprint on youth, the BIPOC community, and then teach them skills through doing social justice projects in their communities. So by all means, Leadership Alliance is the name of my organization. I'm a 501c3. You can reach me at bamlainc.org, and that's what I'm working on.
All right. Well, thank you.
And congratulations on that master's degree. Let's just give them congratulations on that master's degree. Let's just take a moment and just hold you up on that, brother. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Jones, you got any last words to say before we get up out of here?
Well, no, I love this show. I think it's probably a topic to continue to explore. I love the fact that we were talking about breathing and prayers, all those things that hit home, trying to recognize red flags of us who, all the people we mentioned, those we know and don't know. The pandemic has really, put a monkey wrench in our normal lives. And so coping with that, it's going to take a lot of energy. I had the guests, Chris, Dr. Jeff, Dr. Tracy, I mean, you all hit it out the park, spectacular. Tonya, you always come through, you know. So I'm just, I'm taking it all in, because as you sit here and you move the conversation, you also got to take notes, and you got to take notes on yourself, on myself.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm doing. I got a 17-year-old, you know, it could be any person there. Hopefully Mayor Adams does the right job. You know, I had a thought today, something you're going to read in the New York Post today. He had to apologize, and I know we're running out of time, for saying he was a better officer than some quote unquote cracker colleagues. So that's the front page of the Post like 40 years ago. Wow. So he's a guy who's got it, but I believe he's in the right place at the right time. So I think he could probably collar the city and help us go forward. I'm rooting for him myself. I voted for him.
Oh, if I was there, I would vote for him too. But anyways, we're getting ready to get up out of here. Thank you so much, Dr. Tracy Alexander, Mr. Chris Means. Thank you so much, Dr. Jeff Gardier. Thank you for coming on, talking about mental health. Listen, one more again. If you need somebody to talk to, reach out to somebody that you feel comfortable with. If you don't,
go to Dr. Tracy's website.
Huh?
Go to Dr. Tracy's website. Yeah. That's a start.
Just reach out to somebody. But thank you all. Listen, we're streaming live right now on Roku, on QE Vision and everything. And you can always catch us on Fridays on Facebook and Instagram, always on, TJ Always On. That's our handles. But anyways, good luck. Have a great weekend, great week. See y'all next week. Juice, pull that music up.
Stay positive. Peace. Happy Friday.